And the mouse said, "What do you mean you moved my cheese?"
Ha ha ha.
Uh,
Oh
yeah.
my cow.
Anyway, this is Barely Furcasting featuring Taebyn, an Injured Nerves audio production. Well, welcome to Barely Furcasting featuring Taebyn. I am Barely Normal, and you are?
My name is Taebyn, and I'm a pup. Bark bark. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. And of course, we should start right off. News that came out this week. MFF 2020 and FC 2021 have been canceled.
Sad pup.
Sad pup.
But yes, it's of course because of the pandemic. They're good decisions. This was the right decision. We want to keep all you furs safe, and we want to keep us furs safe
For safety's sake.
for safety's sake.
Since there's no cons to speak of right now, Taebyn and I will keep bringing you fun and exciting things here on our podcast.
Fun. They better be fun, or else we just lied.
Now, here's something that I want to share with you because we've been asking people to write in and give us some things, talk to us, send us letters, send us emails or whatever. And before we get into the tail saga, this came in my email today. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Dear Taebyn, I am your tail. I help you balance, and I enjoy being your tail. But why do you always chase me? Lately, this is causing me a great deal of anxiety, as I never know when we wake up if I will be able to simply laze around you as you nap in the sun, or if I will be running away for my very life from your ever-so-sharp puppy teeth. Why are you so mad at me that you have to chase me every day? Have I insulted you in some way? I love you, Taebyn, and I love being your tail, but could you please stop chasing me so much? Thank you very much, your tail.
Oh, Tail, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you had these feelings. Well, what's a pup to do? Okay, I will work at not chasing you too much. I don't want to scare poor Tail, but you're just so fluffy and you run away and it's just tempting me. But okay, I'll do better. I'll do better at not doing that. I will take my found techniques that you have so wonderfully helped me with, and I will spread forth and help. You might remember there was that squirrely. We helped that squirrely last week, and I will work to help others instead of chase you now that I've learned these techniques.
We will see if Tail responds
We
sometime
will.
in the future, because,
Oh,
it's not like he was right here telling us that. That was already wrote in.
that was already wrote in. He must
Yeah.
have snuck away while I was taking a puppy nap or something.
All right, so I'm going to press the send button for the 5-minute furs for fun. We'll see if anybody logs in. So there it goes. So while we're waiting, I want to talk a little bit about, normally we talk about television and what we've been watching, but I want to bring up today that there's a new show on Netflix sometime this month or next month, and it's a furry/game crossover.
Really? Okay.
It's called The Samurai Rabbit, the Usagi Chronicles.
Sounds Japanese-ish.
I'm guessing it is, since it's a samurai.
Yeah, well, there you go.
According to Netflix, this is the write-up. Samurai Rabbit will tell a new story set in the same universe as Stan Sakai's long-running comic series. So I guess if you know Stan Sakai's long-running comic series, you will know what this takes place in.
And I don't, so I don't.
Okay. The show will follow the teen rabbit Yuchi, a descendant of the great samurai and star of the comics, Miyamoto Usagi. As Yuchi, I think I'm saying that right, attempts to live up to the family legacy, he's joined in his journeys by a roguish bounty hunter, a cunning ninja, an acrobatic pickpocket, and a faithful pet lizard.
Oh, wow. That's quite an entourage.
That is. The comic series Usagi Yojimbo
Yo, Jimbo!
takes place in feudal Japan, or a version of feudal Japan where everybody is anthropomorphic animals. It looks like Samurai Rabbit will bring the timeline forward a few hundred years to a setting that blends the high-tech imagery with classical Japanese aesthetic.
That sounds exciting. And so you said that's supposed to come up this month or next or something?
Yeah, on Netflix. So it's kind of
Netflix.
cool. Hey, I just got a text message from Naito, I guess. I don't know. Said, I really wanted to join today, but I'm at work and I don't have a computer with me. Okay.
Oh, well,
Well,
okay.
at least somebody's reading it.
Yes, I'm glad someone's actually paying attention. Yay. Well, thank you, Naito Folf, for the note.
Do you have anything on television that you're watching?
Well, let's see. So I've continued with season 2 of the Goldbergs. That's still great and amazing. I didn't know what to watch during Lunchy today. And I remembered that you had said something about F is for Family last week. So I thought I'd try it out. So I did that. You might also remember last week we talked about how, well, you talked about how it's not Pup G13. It's more like No Cow 17.
Yes.
There were like a lot of words I didn't understand in the show. So I'm guessing that's where this part of this No Cow 17 is coming from. Yeah, it was an interesting show. I'm going to try and watch another episode and see how that goes.
Did it make you laugh?
It did. It was entertaining. I laughed. Clever little guy in the ending of how he like fixed everything. No spoilers, but I think I'll have to watch another episode or two before I fully form an opinion.
Well, looks like some furs tried to get in today, but it's important when you're trying to get into the 5-minute furs for fun that you are on a computer. This will not allow you to do this on a cell phone. So we'll
Crazy.
try it again next week. Who was it? Naito Fluff? Was that what his name was? Or Folf?
Folf. Naito Folf said we can count on him and he's going to come in next week for 5 minutes of fun for furs. I can't even say that.
What is a Folf, by the way?
It's a wolf fox. Fox wolf.
A fox wolf. Okay.
Wolf.
That makes it Folf.
It doesn't make it walks.
Wox, because it was if a wolf fox, it'd be a wox, right?
It would be, but it's not. It's a fox wolf.
All right. Well, this week's guest is Khord Kitty.
Ah, yes.
From California. He's a California kitty.
Califer.
So let's just jump right into our interview with Khord Kitty.
Bark, bark.
All right. Well, joining us today is Khord Kitty. Thank you for joining us, Khord Kitty.
Bark.
Meow, meow, meow.
Well, there you go. That's
there
what happened.
you go. Bark, bark. That's exciting. So
All
it's
right.
good to hear you, Khord. How are you today?
Oh, I am doing wonderful. That's how I got my name.
You have
I play chords.
I see what you did there. That's very clever of a kitty. I have some questions for you. Would you like to respond to my questions that I have for you?
I would love to respond to your questions. You totally didn't send them ahead of time, so I totally don't know what they all are ahead of time. Yeah.
Was I supposed to do that?
I was making a funny, because I'm a funny kitty who likes to be kitten all the time.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That's
Okay.
just crazy. Okay. Well, then let me start out by asking, how long have you been in the fandom? The furry fandom, that is.
Well, I've been lurking for about 19 years. You find a website and you're like, oh, what's this?
Oh, wow.
It looks like an animal person. And active for 12 years. 12 years ago, I found out about fur meets and all that stuff. And I attended my first one. And it's called Crack Chicken in Santa Clara, California. And there's always a bunch of furs there. Pre-COVID, but apparently it's been around for a long time. So.
And how long then have you been furry then? I assume longer than 19 years.
Well, I mean, I've always been kind of, into being a cat person or whatever. But in regards to furry art, I didn't really know it existed until I think it was the summer of 2001. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is it's like Mickey Mouse, except none of these characters are on any shows I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Well, it's to be a furry and to be in the fandom. I don't know. For me, I guess I use them interchangeably because I think of them as they both are involved, just interest in anthropomorphs and interest in self-identifying as your own persona, whatever. And yeah, I mean, I guess is it really having to do with self-identification and socializing with others first in the fandom, I'm assuming?
I think to be a furry and in the fandom is different for every fur. I mean, every fur has their own definitions and everything. So that sounds wonderful to me, if that sounds wonderful to you.
I think I knew one furry for about a year, and then I started using Skype and then adding a bunch of furries, and that's how I met some other ones. And that was, I believe, in the summer of maybe late spring 2009, and I kind of started chatting with furs more online. So yeah, that's kind of I'd say a way I got involved in the fandom. I was just sort of adding people. I was like, "Hey, can you be my friend?" And I took off from there, I think.
That sounds very familiar. So you started then at some point going to FurCons, and at what point did you start going to FurCons?
I went to FurCons in Further Confusion 2009, so that was maybe January. I mean, at that time, I only knew one furry, so I was very much kind of going at it alone and not really knowing what's going on. Like my first girlfriend, it's like I was in a relationship for about 11 weeks. It was the first furry I ever met, and she invited me to Further Confusion, and then she was selling art the whole time, so I was like, I don't know anyone. I'm going to take out my camera and record everything. And so I recorded like the opening ceremonies. They had spam sushi, and it was just fun. Posted that online.
You just recorded stuff.
That's what I do.
That is what you do. That first year, then, did you go to more than Further Confusion, or did you kind of ease into the con scene?
Well, I started doing more cons a year after that. I think when I realized that there was more than one con, I was like, wait a minute, there are in other places. I was like, ooh, this is cool. So then I got a ride to SoCal. I went in 2010. I went to Cali for and Further Confusion, and then I found somebody who was literally going in a plane, and I was like, whoa, you're going to a plane, you're a FurCon? All right, we're going to Anthrocon, the biggest in the world, yay!
And I bet it sounded just like that.
Oh, it was totally like that. And, again, I park my camera everywhere. I mean, you can sort of see by my YouTube channel, I kind of like record everything. It's like I don't have a great memory, so that's always a good way to kind of get the sights and stuff. And I saw a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of interesting stuff over the years.
What are some of your favorite memories from these FurCons?
Oh, well, I mean, you know me, I love the Fursuit Dance competition. So the first Fursuit Dance competition for me, like, that was just, it introduced me to a lot of styles I'd never seen before. And before that, I didn't really have any interest in dance. So that was Anthrocon 2015 or 2013. And I was like, whoa. And I had never seen anything like it before. And I was just freaking floored. I mean, and I instantly, I mean, I think that's like the only reason why I had a fursuit was because I just wanted to join the competition. So like exactly a year after Anthrocon 2013, I commissioned a fursuit, and then the very next year, like I got it delivered to me on the Saturday of Anthrocon 2014. I was like, yay! And I think the very first thing I did in fursuit was I was a part of a music video recording for, I think, a Teopan tiger. It took place on the roof, and it was it never got edited because the video was corrupted, but it kind of just shows you that so much of my motivation for shooting and stuff like that is it's all because I consider myself like an entertainer, and I've always been just into the performance aspect of it, into the acting aspect of it.
Right. So you are, as you were just saying, you're a dancey fur and even a singing fur, and you're a talented kitty. And so you were, that's interesting. You weren't even into dancing before that first AC 2013. What is it, do you think, that just got you into the whole dancing thing? I mean, you didn't just see the dance comp and then realize you like dancing. There must have been something that really motivated you to start doing this, because you've been doing dancing now for a long time.
Well, this might sound weird, but it's like I always felt like, I mean, so I started in musical theater when I was 9, and I always felt like dancing was something I was required to do if I wanted to do the singing and acting. You know what I mean? I thought it was just like, I was like, oh gosh, I got to go through this loop if I want to go to the fun stuff. And this might sound really simplistic, but something about how a lot of more modern hip hop style dances are a bit quicker. Something about like a quick dance, that attracted me to it, because there was a bit of a challenge, and there was a lot more musicality. It was like the movements were directly connected with the music. It wasn't just some sort of simplistic community theater choreography, and it's usually a little bit slower, a little bit not as rhythmic. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of like the whole dubstep dancing craze. I mean, I think that kind of molded together with the fursuit dancing, just stylistically speaking. And something about that kind of quick rhythmic, I think pop locking is another way to put it. Something about that just sort of took me to the realm of like, wait a minute, dancing could be fun? That's impossible.
Who would have thunk it? No, yeah, that's very true. You just got to find the right style of whatever it is before you realize you're really into it.
Ironically, like even though I wasn't really a fan of the musical theater style of dance, somehow that got molded into my style, and I didn't even try. It was just like the very first dance competitions were like, "Wow, it's very musical theater. I could tell you're a musical theater kid," and I was like, how could you tell? I didn't try to do that. I didn't try to do anything. But apparently, if you have storytelling and kind of an overtop style, I guess that's associated with musical theater. So I kind of involuntarily ended up getting that molded with whatever my style of dancing is. I like to call it just flopping around. That's the best way to put it.
That's a good way to describe. That's how I describe my dancing anyway. So we have the same dancing style. That's exciting. So I think you said your first dance comp was the AC 2014.
Well, here's the thing: the deadline to turn in the to audition, I think it was like maybe like a day before I got my fursuit, so it was too late there. So I joined in the very next FurCon I went to. Basically, what happened was in 2014, Furfinity United, they were starting their first dance competition, and I was living about 17 miles away from that, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. So like one thing I did is I started going to the roof of my apartment in Manhattan, and I would practice. And then what happened was, I think the people who were in charge of the building, they started to notice, and they were like, oh no, you can't have people up here on the roof. It might be a liability. So I think after like around the last week or so before the con, they installed an alarm up there. So like the whole building would go pew, 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 if you try to open the door. And I'm pretty sure that was just because of me.
Well, good. Good. So how did your first dance comp go then for you? Were you nervous?
It's like I don't remember being nervous. I think the biggest thing I was thinking about was like, there's people like giving attention to this one furry. Like I think his name was Mosey, and they were like surrounding him and talking with him. And I was like, this is interesting. I guess they've seen his dancing before. I wonder. And I think I was just wondering like what would motivate a bunch of people to surround a dancer and talk to them? It's like before they were even auditioned, I was like, is there what's the reason for this? And then the question was answered during the dance. Like I didn't know that this guy won Anthrocon like 2 years before that, and this was like a very small convention. Like there was like I think only about 11 participants, but I think. I think I was thinking like, what's going on here? Why is that happening? And when I sat down and I saw the dances, I was like, I did again, like I recorded everything. I had my camera out, I had my fursuit on, and then I did my dance. And again, like I didn't feel nervous. I kind of felt excited. Like I kind of felt like a relief. Like okay, finally I could do something that I kind of wanted to do. Like I really didn't like the idea of somebody going up to me and giving me choreography. I was like, people have been giving me choreography since I was 10 years old, and now it's about maybe 18 years after that, and I'm like, I want to try to make something. And I was like, when I had that freedom to kind of freestyle, make my own crap up, I was like, this type of freedom is liberating. I was kind of excited to do it. And then after I danced, I like immediately had a horrible health episode where I was like, I feel like I am dying. I can't hold this camera straight. So I went straight to the bathroom. I took off my fursuit and just sort of like laid down there like, try not to die. And then I came up and like it was like a partial, but you could totally see my arms and legs because I didn't have any long sleeve stuff. I was not expecting to go into full overheat mode, but I was a rookie, so I had no idea. What would happen. But when I got second place, I was like, holy, like in the back of my mind, I was like, this is undeserved. What's going on?
Well, I'm totally glad you did not die then. Wow, that's great. Second place, your first one. I mean, even if it's a small con, still, that's pretty awesome. Overall, what was your favorite dance comp or best dance comp that you've been in?
And that's a really hard question to answer, but I mean, for me, the format where the dancers are not stuck backstage, where they have to maybe watch a video feed, or like they're in the dark, or worse, they can't see anything, and then like someone cues them to go on stage if you're lucky. Like, I mean, I think I've had one dance comp where they were like, all right, next up is Khord Kitty, and I was like waiting there backstage for like 20 seconds. Like I had no idea. I couldn't hear anything. But so the best fursuit dance competitions are the ones where you could just go out there, and they have a place where you could sit out there in the open. So like that's why I'd say Anthro Northeast was probably a favorite, because they had chairs on stage, and you could just sort of like go out there and watch, and I like that. It also makes it makes videos so much more interesting when you have like a background to look at, where it's just like not a static image where you can see a bunch of fluffies go like woohoo and like waving their arms around and being supportive, because I think that's really the whole idea behind it. It's a bunch of supportive folks flopping around, and that's Anthro Northeast for sure.
I think I remember you've placed in other dance comps too. What's the best you've done?
Well, I have done first place a few times, so I guess that about 7 times. So that's the best I've done. And it's the first time I did it was in Toronto at Fertile Equinox. And one really fun thing about that dance comp is that it was the only dance comp where they let the whole audience see the prelims. So anytime I had like a joke in my dance during the actual performance, like the audience didn't react because they had already seen it. They already saw the joke in the prelims. It was really
so Furlandia is like that too. The audience can see the prelims. I remember the last dance comp I did for Furlandia is this same thing as you just said. I didn't have jokes or anything, but the second performance was definitely not, as the audience didn't care or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I understand. You wrote a musical for BLFC 2018, The Dragon Within, and that was great. And what did you think? Was that exciting, having your story come to life?
To me, all I was thinking was, finally, like this is one of those dreams I've had since I was in high school, like just wanting to make a musical. Funny story, I had this relative, this kind of weird relative, who like they'd call at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then they would talk about wanting to come over, and apparently they were kind of like the black sheep of the family, and they just kind of weirded everyone out. And so what I did was I made a musical about her in 2004 called the Wicked Bitch of the East. It was a terrible name for a musical. But it was literally the first thing I composed on sheet music notation. What happened was I found out about the program Sibelius, and I used a demo version of it. And using that demo, I made like 16 kind of very short songs to this musical, and I printed it out. And even like looking back on it, it's kind of like, for me, it was a good starting off point to learning the ins and outs of composition, trying counterpoint and a lot of fun stuff. So it was a really big educational experience for me. I kind of thought of it like, where could I put on a musical? Oh, really? I could do one here? I think I was really excited because the chairman of the convention, he approached me and said, hey, we're making a musical with, Foxmore and Pepper Coyote. Would you like to join in? And I was like, sure. And then he was like, actually, too many cooks in the kitchen. Would you like to instead host a singing competition? I was like, I still want to write a musical. So what happened was Foxmore and Pepper Coyote, they wrote a musical for first stage. And then I wrote a musical, and that ended up being put on third stage. And I just kind of stuck with my guns. I was like, no, I don't want to host a singing competition. I want to put on a musical. Because like when I found out that the theme of
for you,
when I found out the theme of BLFC was a musical, I was like, no, I'm going to make a musical. Like I was like, I want to really follow through with it. So I was able to convince chairman to let me do that, and it was just, honestly, it was like the best. Like, to answer one of your later questions, what do you think is your biggest accomplishment? That for sure, because I mean, it's such a relief. It was just like, I mean, if you've ever taken out a bucket list and then gone like, oh, all right, so I haven't hit 40 yet, but I checked this off. That's good. That's kind of what it felt like.
And I remember, because, well, I was in it, so, but I remember there was a lot of people there too. So that was pretty exciting.
I think it was like 50, maybe 50 or 60.
Yeah, I think so.
Have you written any other musicals for other cons yet?
I have not done it yet. That was the first, but if you really think about it, I mean, if you count like maybe like a one song skit, like I did that a lot. Like I think I made maybe about 15 to 20 different short musical skits. And that's kind of how I got my practice in. Like at the first con that I did, Fursuit Dance Competition, Furfinity United, I noticed that they had a talent show portion. Like they had like a variety show. And I was like, variety show? Well, I'm, a music composition graduate. Maybe and I noticed people were doing all these skits that were from different like, TV shows. And I was like, maybe what if I try to do my own skit? I was very much inspired by, there's a skit that I think coined the term Popufur. It was this a parody from the song Popular from Wicked that happened at the first con I went to. I believe it was Furry Night Live, Further Confusion 2009. Two furries, they did a parody of Popular, whereas Popufur. And then two other furries, I think, also did a cover of If You Were Gay from Avenue Q. So that kind of gave me the idea of like, oh my gosh, like I could have these performers not have to memorize lines. They could literally pretend that they're saying lines to a recording. I thought that format was perfect. So once I found out that there was a talent show at FAU, then I was like, oh, I better look for a talent show at the next con and make a skit. So that's where I started making the fursuit skits, and at the next con I went to, which was for Apocalypse 2014, I made a song called Take a Hit of the Nip. It was terrible
Okay.
drug-fueled song. I think it was like, take a hit or take a hit of the nip. It won't stick up your fur, but my con will be a blur. Just take a hit. It's stupid. It's very stupid.
God.
But that started to roll. I started doing...
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. I started making a bunch of skits around... I mean, I don't know if you've ever met anybody who has tried to get a musical composition degree, but it is basically making stuff that... in the words of John Lennon, avant-garde a clue. Right? You get it? Avant-garde a clue? It's a good one. That's kind of what was going on.
I'm not sure if I'm happy I got it, but I got it.
I think what happens a lot is people, when people try to get away from tonality completely, then they start going into intellectual cuckoo land where it's like, oh, okay, I guess this is music. When you go like... It's like, oh, yes, good job. That's genius.
That was genius. I really liked what you just did there. That was great. You already said what you think your biggest accomplishment was, Dragon Within. Definitely. I mean, that's a wonderful accomplishment. And as you said, something that pretty much all your life you had kind of dreamt about in different ways. And so that's great. What other big accomplishments do you consider yourself to have done?
Well, some of my other accomplishments, they're more based on luck, honestly. Like, the way, I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard about anyone who's done like background acting in like movies and film, but when you do that, it is purely based on luck, because literally you answer an email, some extras casting agent looks at a picture of you and then goes like, okay, we'll stick you in this scene. And then if you're really lucky, you might get on camera. And if you get on camera, maybe if you're even luckier, the editor won't completely edit you out. So when I did background acting for about 4.5 years while I was living in Manhattan, every once in a while I would get kind of close to the screen. So like I always consider that to be accomplishment. Like there's a few frames of Bridge of Spies where like I take up half the screen and it's like I snapshotted it, sent it to my mom, and she's like, I didn't know you were in that. And I was like, yeah. And then on one of the last scenes of Wolf.
Oh, cool.
On one of the last scenes of Wolf of Wall Street, you can see me there too. You can actually see all the snapshots. If you go to my Wikifur, I wrote my own Wikifur. You just look up Khord Kitty there, and I tried to put all the snapshots there. But so I guess that's kind of an accomplishment. I was lucky enough to end up on some movies and TV shows, so that was a lot of fun.
That's lucky, Kitty, definitely. I think our time is winding down, so let me ask, is there anything else we should know about you, or something you would like to share with every fur?
What I would say is that every time that you really want to do something and there's something in your body saying, you know what, I don't think I'm skilled enough to do that. Just remember, when I went into fursuit dancing, I didn't know anything about choreography. I didn't know anything about solo dance. I didn't know anything about anything, and I knew I was stupid. I acknowledged that I was stupid about the whole thing. I had some experience, but I was still stupid about the whole thing. And I didn't let that stop me, because guess what? It doesn't matter if you're stupid about something. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to draw, if you don't know how to do this, if you don't have any training, if you don't feel like you're a dancer, if you don't feel like you could do any of this stuff. The cool thing about the fandom is people are accepting enough. If you just jump directly in the deep end, you will make the most out of every FurCon experience or any experience in life. So that's what I want to recommend to everybody. Do what I did, jump in the deep end, even if you don't know how to swim.
I totally agree. I mean, I did the same thing. My first dance comp, like I don't know how to dance or anything, but and I definitely don't know anything about choreography or anything. But I did it and I survived. You know, as you say, the fandom, every fur is so supportive, and that's one of the wonderful things about the fandom.
Those are some wise words about doing things that even if you're afraid to do them, because this fandom is so good about being accepting and joining in your frivolity and your craziness that it really doesn't matter. Just have a good time. This is the best place to have a good time, is in this fandom.
Actually, there's some other advice I should give that's a bit more relevant. So you know how this is like right now, the big trending thing going on right now is to block every friend you have who doesn't share every opinion you have. What I would say about that is that love diversity of thought. That is the most important thing in life. Love diversity of thought and love different people. And if people are different from you, be friends with them, because then you will learn more than you could have ever learned to be around your twin. How about that? I think that's a bit more, that's also kind of relevant, right?
Very much so. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, how are you going to improve yourself if you're always thinking what you've always thought, right?
I mean, I like being around people who make me feel very stupid. That's the ideal. I want to feel stupid around other people. Like, I can't realize that.
Well, if you surround yourself with smart folks, then you'll always be the dumbest one in the room.
That is true.
Well, Khord Kitty, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you on our show. I know that we're just a little 2-bit podcast, but it's great to have high power popufurs on our show, and you are one of them.
Popufur, popufur power.
Yes, indeed. And we've got the musicality and everything.
Well, thanks again for joining us. You have a great day, and we'll listen to you when we listen to this podcast.
Yay, bark, bark. See you next time, Khord.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was very nice. And until next time, bye-bye from Khord Kitty.
That is a very hyper kitty.
He's a hyper kitty. Yep. Again, another. There was some other hyper fur that we had, and we realized there's a reason we, like me and that other fur, get along, is because like I'm a hyper pup too.
Yes, you're a very hyper. I mean, I have not experienced you and Khord Kitty in the same room because I was not at the BLFC where the big play was. At any rate, I would imagine the two of you together are very, I don't think anything would have gotten done if you were in the same room.
So I had a tiny, tiny little part in that musical. And so it is amazing that, you know, we were in the same room together a lot of the time, but things got done. I mean, we got it done somehow.
Nice. All right. Well, let's wrap this up and move on to our next section.
Okay, wag.
What would you like to do first? Would you want to do some math or do you want to do a story?
Let's do the math thing really quick.
So what is your math?
My math. What is my math? And I haven't had an actual story, I've noticed, for a few weeks now. So next week I'll try and have an actual story, interesting thing about math history or something.
Okay.
But this week I have just another, if you remember from a few weeks ago, I had some little, number trick thingies and divisibility rules and things like that. I just have another one of those that's kind of fun. So you'll need a calculator again. You might even want to write this down.
I'm ready to write down numbers.
So this is going to be another one of those things where I read your mind.
Ooh.
Think of a 3-digit number, any 3-digit number at all.
Okay, I got it. My number is 357.
And arrange the digits in descending order.
Putting that in descending order, that will be 753. Okay.
Now reverse the order and subtract it from the previous number. So you're taking the bigger number minus this smaller number.
And now, of course, putting the numbers back in ascending order is 357. So I'm going to subtract those numbers. Okay.
Now, that number you get after you subtracted, reverse the order of those numbers.
Which gives me a number of 693.
Add those two together. So the reversed order added to the previous.
Okay. And then that gives me the answer of 1089.
Okay. Now, I'm going to see if I can do this now. I'm using my fluffy puppy sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is your number 1089?
Yes.
Oh, my fluff. It worked.
That's amazing.
I've got puppy fluff sense.
Puppy fluff. So that was interesting. It's amazing how you can read my mind from so many miles away.
So many miles. Well, it's the fluff. The fluff just transmits.
So do you have a story time for us?
I do. This one is probably a little bit better if you can actually see it because there's some illustrations, but that's okay. It's not a long story. And in fact, it's a story I have read. It's on my YouTube, one of the story times with Taebyn. So if you want to see the pictures, just go to my YouTube and find this story that's called Playdate for Panda. And then you can actually see the actual pictures. This is Playdate for Panda by Michael Dahl, illustrated by Oriole Vital. That is very vital to know, apparently. Panda feels shy. He's as quiet as a mouse. And I guess so there's a little panda and he's sitting there and he looks all sad. And there's a little Foxy sitting behind him. But friendly Fox shares his toys. And there's Foxy pushing his little toys over to Panda. He's so nice. I wag. That's not part of the story. I just said that because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm wagging. And they're playing together and making music. Together they make lots of noise. That's part of it. Panda and Fox share a treat, and they're just sitting there and like they have cookies and they're sharing cookies with them. Again, make sure to see the actual YouTube version so you can see the actual pictures, because I'm sure me talking about the cookies isn't helping you very much. Outside, they run and jump and hide, and there's a little panda. He's hiding behind a bush. At least I think that's a bush. I think it actually looks like a big scoop of lime ice cream, but he's hiding behind it, whatever it is, and Foxy's jumping over him and the ice cream bush thing. They take turns on the swing and slide, and there's a little picture, of course, of Foxy. He's on the swing and Panda's on the slide, and I assume they're going to switch off soon because they're sharing Foxy and Panda. They look at books as it starts to get late, and apparently that's the end of the story. There's like no more. They're just is there another? Oh no, there's one more page. I just couldn't
say. I thought there was another page. At least.
I couldn't do it with my pauses. That would have been a very odd ending. So how we really end is, then the friends say goodbye until their next playdate, and Panda is saying bye to Foxy, and there's Mom Panda. She's smiling, waiting for Panda to stop waving at Foxy. So that is the official the end.
Nice.
That was a much better the end than what I thought was. That was very anticlimactic.
They just stop reading books. How exciting.
Just stop.
So I understand you also might have a joke or two for us today.
Yes, so I have this book. It's called Funny Jokes and Foxy Riddles. I thought I'd just, read a few, like 3 or 4 jokes out of it and see if they're any good or not.
Okay.
So the first joke, customers. There's a customer and a clerk. The customer says, "When I bought this cat, you told me he was good for mice. He doesn't even go near them." The clerk says, "Well, isn't that good for mice?" And that's the joke. That's the extent of the joke. But it's true. That is good for mice.
Yes.
Moving right along, the doctor says, "Did you go to another doctor before you came to me?" The patient says, "No, I went to a druggist." The doctor said, "What foolish advice did he give you?" The patient said, "He told me to come to you." That was dumb, but I read it anyway. Okay, there's 2 more on this page, so let's finish off this page.
Let's go with 2 more jokes if they haven't stopped listening by this time.
It's true. I'm really trying very hard to shun our listeners or something. The old lady says, "A ticket to Toledo, please." The ticket agent says, "Do you want to go by Buffalo?" Old lady says, no, better make it by train. Says, and
Yeah.
Buffalo's capitalized. It's supposed to be, okay, you would have had to
A
have been here.
city. It has to be
It's-
would you like to go by
Buffalo, yes.
Yes.
I'm going to move on to the next joke.
Okay.
Marty wrote to Tom, if you don't get this letter, let me know and I'll write another one. And that's it.
And
That
that's
is
the joke.
okay. We'll see if I actually bring out this book next week or not. There's 80 pages of these. Oh my cow.
80 pages of bad jokes. I was going to do this with our fur for fun, but I'm going to do it with you.
Oh.
You are no stranger to text messaging on the phone, correct?
Yes, it's difficult with my pauses, but I am no stranger to it.
And sometimes you use letters in your text messaging to represent words.
Oh, yes, definitely. It's easier for my pauses to like type you instead of YOU.
Correct. So if you were to type IDC, what does that mean?
IDC.
Mhm.
I don't care. I mean, I do care.
No, that's exactly what it means. I don't care.
Okay. You almost tricked me there.
So now, if you were to see on this text message coming across, well, that's just the way it is. IYKWIM.
Oh, my fluff. Say those letters again.
IYKWIM.
Yeah. I am. Is you knowing when I neuter beast?
It's if you know what I mean.
If you know what I mean. Oh, M.
Am.
Still, that wouldn't have helped me out.
So we know this one. Everybody knows this one. It's NSFW, right? Not safe for work. But what is NSFL?
Not safe for llamas.
That could be, but it's actually not safe for life.
Yeah, well, llamas can be life, so maybe
true.
they're all intertwined.
And this one you probably don't know, but I'm sure that after you hear it, you will start using it.
Oh.
RACF. I'll say that again. RACF.
Rats activate cow fruit.
Huh?
I could see that being very, very useful. I think I'm going to use that all the time now.
Yes, but actually what I came up with is running around chasing fluff.
Oh, I am so going to use that all the time.
I knew you would. All right, that brings us to this or that.
This or bark that.
So first one, roller skates or bicycles?
I would have to go bicycles. It's kind of hard to, get on the bike because I'm just a pup. But once I do fine. Now, the roller skates are scary to this pup. I would think I would fall down all the time, and I don't want to fall down. So I'll go bicycle.
So when you're on the bicycle, would you prefer to listen to pop music or rock music?
I mean, it depends on what type of rock music. I mean, if people are throwing rocks at me in a very musical way, I don't think I'd like the rock. I would rather pop with glittering eyes. No, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll go with the rock.
If you were to stop riding your bicycle and you were going to have a snack, would you prefer cookies or brownies?
Since the cookies could be just anything, to be safe, I'll have to go brownies, but the brownies might have walnuts in it, and I don't like walnuts. So this is a tough one. If they are the good, fun, moist brownies, I go probably brownies. But there are some really good chocolate chip cookies out there, and especially the cookie dough. You got to have that cookie dough, so this is a tough one. I think I'll go brownies.
So you used a word in there that is a trigger word for a lot of people. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that.
The word is moist.
Oh, yes. That I will now apologize to any fur I just made cringe or twinge or not like me anymore for using that word. I am so sorry.
Moist, 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 moist.
That was not me. That was barely blame him, not this.
This is a what's worse for you.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Yes. Which is worse? Doing laundry or doing the dishes?
It's actually very interesting that you ask that because those are two things that I do often. This is actually a legitimate tough one. So laundry can take, a long time depending on how big the load is and everything. And, I hate it so much when I open the dryer with my pausey and to put the stuff that was in the washer in there. And when I open it, and I hate it when there's stuff in there because I hadn't folded the clean laundry yet. So then I have to go ahead and do that, and like, oh, life. But or llama, as the case may be, going back to the the dishes aren't too bad because I can use the dishwasher, but not for everything. But the dishwasher, if it hasn't been washed in a while because it's waiting to be filled up, sometimes it can get all stinky, and that offends my poor little sense of pup nosy. But that doesn't happen too often. Wow, this is tough. They're kind of on the same level for me. I guess I'll go dishes or worse, just because when my nosy is offended by sense of pup, it's really bad. I really don't like it. So yeah,
Okay.
Dishes are worse.
Okay.
That was quite an adventure you just took me on, let me tell you.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end. Please subscribe on your favorite pod platform. Leave us comments. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. If you don't like something, reach out to us. Let us know. We'll see if we can't change it for you. We might not. Throw some suggestions our way. We'd like to start a mailbag. I mean, the tail wrote us a letter.
Yeah.
But, we'd like to read some messages from folks on the pod. So send us a message to barelyfurcasting@gmail.com or on the BFFT chat on Telegram. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear what you think of our podcast, what you think of Taebyn, what you think of me. But please don't be mean to us because we're trying to have fun.
I'm a sense pup. So, Bearly, you just said something that actually has always made me wonder. You said, I forget the exact sentence, but you said, see if we can't change something. And I've always wondered, people say that, like, see if I can't do this. See if I can't, like, that's so negative. Why don't we say, see if I can do this? I'm not sure of where the history of that came from.
I should maybe look that up, but I remember my grandpa used to say that to me all the time. So,
let's see if you can't pull those weeds, you young buck.
See if I can't. You're right, I can't.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I can't.
And remember, you can help support the show through Ko-Fi or Buy Me a Coffee. That's not at all necessary. We like to thank our one fur that did actually give us a donation. That was great.
That's amazing. I still say thank you again for that. It really does help cover the cost to do stuff. Because it really does cost things.
It does cost things. So with that, Taebyn, I hope you have a great week, and we will talk to you, and our listeners will hear us again in 7 short days.
I'm so excited. Wag, wag, wag. We'll see you or talk to you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bark, bark.
Barely Furcasting is an Injured Nerves studio production. It is found on all major podcast platforms and can also be listened to directly at barelyfurcasting.com. All opinions expressed here are those of Taebyn and Bearly, and neither received any commercial compensation for their opinions. The Furcast is recorded and edited by me, Bearly Normal, also known as Mike Began. Opening, interstitial, and closing music by Shane Ivers through silvermansound.com. If you would like to send us a message, you can do so via email at barelyfurcasting@gmail.com or on Telegram chat at BFFTchat. Additionally, Taebyn can be reached on social media at TaebynPup on YouTube and Twitter. Thanks for listening. We hope to see you back here next week.